Do you handle conflict well? Or does the very thought of it make you start to feel panicky, make you want to run away, make your legs shake and your heart beat faster? If any of these resonate, then this video is for you. The sort of conflicts I'm talking about here are those disagreements about parenting styles, about money, or criticisms about your personal appearance, work that you've done. Or it could be internal conflict where a conversation with somebody is making you feel conflicted inside and you're torn between being kind and doing what the other person wants and sticking to your own values. Whatever the sort of conflict, there are certain strategies that we can learn to handle them better. And we also need to know that there is healthy conflict and there is unhealthy conflict. But for many people, especially those who have a history of abuse, trauma in their early years in life, any sort of conflict, even if it is a disagreement, a healthy sort of disagreement where there is space for two people to share their opinions without any consequences, but they are still triggered in these supposed healthy conflict situations. The reason for this is simply that the brain got used to a disagreement, any sort of conflict, equaling uncertainty, unsafety, if that's a word, yes, unsafeness, not being safe, and there being conditions attached to being in agreement with somebody. So that neural pathway has become so embedded that any sort of conflict or disagreement immediately sends that person into the flight, fight, freeze, or appease trauma response. So let's have a look at the differences between healthy and unhealthy conflict. And we're going to start by recognizing the signs of unhealthy conflict. And as the name suggests, it is conflictual situations. I don't know if I'm getting my words right today. So, situations in which there is conflict and there is also this feeling, and you have a gut feeling that this isn't right, but we may have to override it in order to stay safe at the time. But if the disagreement includes name calling, shouting, if the other person is mocking you, if they are twisting your words, gaslighting you, and generally making you feel pressured to agree with what they are saying. These are all key signs that the disagreement and the conversation that is becoming a conflict is not healthy. And unhealthy conflict is going to leave you feeling small, confused, ashamed, guilty, responsible for everything, like you have to explain over and over again. On the other hand, in a healthy conflict situation, you are going to feel respected. You will be given the space to consider your answer without being pressured. You're not going to feel guilty. You're not going to feel uncomfortable. Although, as I said earlier, you may be triggered if you have a history of abusive conversations and conflict that was unhealthy in the past. And I'm going to come on to techniques that will help you deal with that. But you're going to feel that there is that respect and lack of pressure in a healthy conflict. So let's have a look first of all at how you can deal with being triggered even when the conflict is actually healthy, even when there is simply a disagreement or somebody is suggesting that you do things differently in order to achieve better outcomes at work, for example. So, what you need to do here is to pause, reflect, and just observe how you felt when that person came to talk to you, and notice how your body reacted as well as your thoughts. Then you need to practice some kind self talk, some understanding self talk, in which you are going to talk to those fears, talk to those reactions, and say something like, "It's okay. I understand why you reacted like that. It's because of what has happened in the past. But this person, my friend or my boss, is actually only trying to help me. And my boss just wanted to give me some pointers so that I can work more efficiently next time. And they are looking out for me, looking after me, and I'm safe in this interaction." Or, "My friend has my best interests at heart and is just making a suggestion that is going to help me." So then you need to plan how you are going to respond and react next time there is an interaction with that person. So you can prepare your mind and say something like, "Next time I have a conversation with my boss or a similar conversation with my friend, I am going to remember that it is a safe relationship. I am respected and it's okay for somebody to make suggestions." Something that is going to help you embrace the situation in a more healthy way for you next time it happens. Obviously, we are going to have a different approach when we find ourselves in unhealthy conflict. So we recognize this, as I've already said, by listening to our gut feeling and becoming aware that we are being pressured, that we're not being respected, and that the other person is trying to manipulate us or pressurize us in some way. So we need to press pause, to give ourselves a moment. Don't rush straight in with an answer. Give yourself a moment to reflect. Then make sure that whatever you say is said in the most succinct way possible. So keep your sentences short. If you're tempted to give too many explanations and a long winded answer, then you are giving the other person the opportunity to start arguing more with what you're saying. What you want to do is minimize the opportunity for them to do that. Once you've given a short answer, if you're still feeling that you're being put under pressure or manipulated or feel unsafe in some way, then it's time to set a boundary. And this can be as simple as, if you continue shouting, I'm going to leave the room, leave the office, or end this conversation. Just make it clear, again, make that boundary simple, and then carry through on what you've said you will do, so that they know you mean it and you have all the chances you could have of having a healthier interaction with that person the next time, provided, of course, that they are not a toxic person with narcissistic traits, but that's for another video. But taking those steps is going to maximize the opportunity for you to get that conflict back on even ground and remain in control, which is the most important thing. I hope you found these tips useful. Drop me a comment if you want to share your experience of using any of these strategies. And if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, let me know too. See you next time